Hey Reddit, my name is Rachel, and I'm here to share my roller coaster of a love story. It all started when I met the charming and charismatic James at a local coffee shop. Let me take you back to that magical day. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, and I had decided to treat myself to a cup of my favorite caramel latte. As I stood in line, impatiently tapping my foot, my eyes were drawn to a captivating smile across the room. There he was, James, with his deep blue eyes and dimpled cheeks, engrossed in a book. Feeling a spark of curiosity, I mustered up the courage to strike up a conversation. "Excuse me, but I couldn't help but notice you reading. What book has captured your attention so completely?" James looked up, his smile widening. "Oh, it's a classic novel I've always loved. How about you? Do you enjoy reading?" We dove into a passionate discussion about our favorite books and soon discovered a shared love for adventure and mystery novels. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, and before I knew it, hours had passed and the coffee shop was closing. Reluctantly, we exchanged numbers, promising to continue our conversation another time. Little did I know that this chance encounter would mark the beginning of an extraordinary love story. Over the next few weeks, James and I spent countless hours getting to know each other. Our shared interests and values created a deep connection, and it wasn't long before our friendship blossomed into something more. One evening, James surprised me with tickets to a romantic sunset cruise. As we sailed along the calm waters, he took my hand and looked into my eyes with genuine adoration. "Rachel, from the moment I met you, I knew there was something special between us. You filled my life with laughter and love, and I can't imagine my future without you. Will you be mine?" Tears of joy welled up in my eyes as I nodded, unable to find the words to express my happiness. James slid a delicate silver ring onto my finger, sealing our commitment. "I promise to make every day as magical as this one. Rachel, you deserve nothing less than a lifetime of happiness," he whispered, pulling me into a warm embrace. And so, our perfect love story began. From that day forward, we embarked on a journey filled with laughter, adventure, and unwavering support for each other's dreams. Our love grew stronger with each passing day, and we eagerly started planning a future together. With the ring sparkling on my finger, I couldn't wait to embark on this new chapter of our lives together. James and I sat down, creating a Pinterest board filled with wedding ideas and inspiration. We envisioned a celebration that reflected our personalities and the love we shared. One evening, we snuggled up on the couch, sifting through bridal magazines, our eyes filled with dreams. "Rachel, I want our wedding to be a day we'll cherish forever, something truly extraordinary," James said, his voice brimming with excitement. I rested my head on his shoulder, feeling a surge of warmth. "I couldn't agree more, James. Let's make it a day that truly captures the essence of our love." And so, we began our journey of wedding planning, meticulously organizing every detail. We spent countless hours visiting venues, searching for the perfect location to exchange our vows. James, being the romantic that he was, insisted on a breathtaking outdoor garden ceremony surrounded by blooming flowers and soft sunlight. As we settled on a date and location, the guest list became our next challenge. Our families and closest friends filled the list, each name a testament to the bonds we had forged. We carefully selected invitations that reflected the elegance and joy we wished to convey. Food tasting was a delicious highlight of the planning process. We sampled an array of delectable dishes, savoring each bite and envisioning our loved ones enjoying the same flavors on our special day. The menu consisted of culinary delights that catered to various dietary preferences, ensuring everyone would leave with smiles and satisfied taste buds. Throughout the planning process, James and I faced occasional disagreements, but we always found a way to compromise. Like when it came to choosing between a live band or a DJ for the reception, we decided to have both. A live band to set the mood during dinner, and a DJ to get the party started afterward. One evening, as we finalized the floral arrangements, James paused, looking at me with a mischievous grin. Rachel, you know what would make our wedding truly unforgettable. A surprise dance performance? I laughed, picturing James twirling me around the dance floor. Are you sure you can keep up with my moves? He pulled me close, his eyes twinkling. I'll do whatever it takes to keep up with you, my love. With each decision made, our love story intertwined with the details of our impending wedding. It felt like we were creating a fairy tale come to life, and I couldn't help but feel blessed to have found a partner who shared my dreams and embraced the journey with equal enthusiasm. The day before our long-awaited wedding, anticipation hung in the air like electricity. I woke up early, a mix of nerves and excitement pulsating through my veins. James, however, was nowhere to be found. He had left for a business trip, promising to return in time for our rehearsal dinner. As the hours ticked by, my worry grew. Late that night, I heard the front door creak open, and in walked James, his steps unsteady, and the scent of alcohol wafting around him. My heart sank at the sight before me. James, where have you been? The rehearsal dinner was hours ago. He stumbled toward me, a sheepish look on his face. I'm sorry, Rachel. The business trip, it didn't go as planned. Things got out of control. My voice shook with a mix of anger and concern. Out of control? What happened, James? You left me here worrying while you were out drinking? His words slurred. James tried to defend himself. It wasn't like that, Rachel. It was just a couple of drinks to take the edge off. My patience wearing thin, I pointed at the lipstick marks visible on his neck. And what about those? What's the meaning of this? James hesitated, his eyes avoiding mine. It's nothing, Rachel. Just some stupid mistake. It doesn't mean anything. Anger surged within me, fueling my words. A mistake! James, you're about to marry me and you come home drunk with marks on your neck the night before our wedding. How can you disrespect me like this? He grew defensive, his voice rising. Oh, please, Rachel. You're overreacting. It's just a silly fling. Nothing compared to what we have. The room spun with a mix of betrayal, hurt, and anger. My voice shook as tears welled in my eyes. You call it a fling. This is a betrayal, James. I thought I knew you, but clearly, I was wrong. I can't go through with this wedding. With those words, I stormed out of the room, my heart shattered into a million pieces. James called after me, but his words fell on deaf ears. I couldn't bear to be in the presence of someone who had hurt me so deeply. Leaving the house, I sought solace at my parents' home, finding comfort in their unconditional love and support. As I lay in bed that night, tears staining my pillow, I came to a painful realization. The man I had loved, trusted, and planned a future with had shown his true colors. The fairy tale I had believed in had crumbled, leaving behind only a bitter taste of deceit. In the days following the devastating betrayal, I found refuge at my parents' house. Their unwavering support and love helped me navigate the storm of emotions swirling within me. But there was a fire burning inside, fueled by a sense of injustice and a need for closure. With determination in my heart, I made the decision to confront James, to demand answers and closure for the pain he had inflicted upon me. It wasn't easy, summoning the strength to face the man who had shattered my dreams, but I knew it was a necessary step in my healing process. On a cloudy afternoon, I stood in front of the house we had once called our own. My heart raced as I knocked on the door, my palms sweaty. James opened it, his eyes filled with regret and guilt. Rachel, he whispered, his voice filled with remorse. I've been waiting for you to come back. I'm so sorry for everything. I met his gaze, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and sadness. Sorry isn't enough, James. You broke my trust and our love. I need to understand why. His eyes welled up with tears, his voice pleading. Rachel, I don't have any excuses. I messed up and I regret it every single day. I wish I could turn back time. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. It's not just about the betrayal, James. It's about the person you became in that moment. The way you spoke to me, the violence you showed. That's not love. Tears streamed down my face as I recounted the pain and humiliation I had endured. James hung his head in shame, unable to meet my gaze. I can't even recognize the man you've become. How could you hurt me like that? He reached out, wanting to touch me, but I stepped back, tears mingling with the rain outside. No, James, it's over. Our love story has ended in the worst way possible. I deserve better than this. Anger flashed across his face, his voice laced with bitterness. Oh, please, Rachel, you were never that special. My blood boiled, a fire igniting within me. How dare you? I am not defined by your words or your actions. I am strong, resilient, and deserving of respect. You lost me, James, and I will find happiness without you. In that moment, I realized that leaving was the best decision I had ever made. No longer would I allow myself to be subjected to the toxicity that had consumed our relationship. With a final glance filled with disappointment, I turned away from James, leaving behind the shattered remnants of our love. Days had turned into weeks since the confrontation with James. The pain still lingered, but with each passing day, I felt a glimmer of strength returning to my spirit. It was time to face the remnants of our shattered love, the house that had once been our sanctuary. Taking a deep breath, I stood in front of the familiar doorstep, my hand trembling as I reached for the doorknob. The house, once filled with laughter and love, now stood in eerie silence. The emptiness echoed the void in my heart. As I stepped inside, memories washed over me like waves crashing against the shore. The walls whispered stories of joy, but their voices were drowned out by the pain that now stained every corner. The rooms felt colder, the once inviting space now hauntingly desolate. I walked through the hallways, tracing my fingers along the familiar frames that once held our cherished photographs. A pang of sadness gripped me as I stared at the empty spaces, reminders of a love that had turned to ashes. In the bedroom, I opened the closet hoping to find remnants of my life that I had left behind. Clothes still hung neatly untouched. I realized that James had no intention of returning, leaving behind not only our love but also the belongings we had once shared. Tears welled up in my eyes as I began to gather my things, meticulously packing them into boxes. It was a bittersweet process, a physical manifestation of the closure I sought. Each item held memories, both beautiful and painful, but I knew they no longer belonged in my life. As I rummaged through drawers, searching for a small envelope where I had kept my hard-earned savings, panic washed over me. It was nowhere to be found. Dread settled in my stomach as I realized that James, in his final act of betrayal, had stolen the money that was meant for our future. Frustration and anger mingled within me, tears streaming down my face. How could he sink so low? I felt violated, robbed not only of love, but of my financial security as well. With a heavy heart, I left the empty house, carrying boxes filled with the remnant of a life that would never be. The door closed behind me, sealing the chapter of our shared home. It was a symbolic farewell to the past, a step toward a new beginning. With determination burning in my heart, I decided to take legal action against James for the abuse I endured and the theft of my hard-earned savings. It was time to stand up for myself, to ensure that he faced the consequences of his actions. The day arrived when I walked into the courtroom, my head held high despite the anxiety simmering beneath the surface. My lawyer stood by my side, a pillar of support, ready to fight for justice on my behalf. As the proceedings began, I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what was to come. James sat across from me, his eyes filled with a mixture of guilt and defiance. The weight of his actions hung heavily in the air. My lawyer presented my case with unwavering conviction, recounting the painful moments of abuse and the theft that had shattered my trust. The evidence was laid out, and my story unfolded before the judge and jury. During the cross-examination, James's lawyer attempted to paint a different picture, questioning the validity of my claims and attempting to undermine my character. But I stood my ground, refusing to be silenced or intimidated. In a moment of vulnerability, I looked directly at James. You took away my sense of security and violated the trust we once shared. But today, I'm taking back my power. No longer will I allow you to diminish my worth. James shifted uncomfortably in his seat, unable to meet my gaze. I never meant for things to turn out this way, Rachel. I made mistakes, but I still care about you. A surge of anger coursed through me, mingling with the pain that still lingered. Caring doesn't excuse abuse or theft. You had a choice, James, and you made the wrong ones. You need to face the consequences. As the trial proceeded, witnesses testified supporting my claims and shedding light on the true nature of our relationship. Their words added weight to my case, validating my experiences and the pain I had endured. After days of emotional testimonies and intense scrutiny, the judgment was finally rendered. The court recognized the validity of my claims and acknowledged the impact of James's actions on my life. The judge's voice resonated through the courtroom. Based on the evidence presented and the accounts given, the court finds in favor of the plaintiff, Rachel. The defendant, James, is hereby ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $55,000 for the theft and emotional distress caused. Relief washed over me as the gavel came down, sealing the outcome of the trial. It wasn't just about the monetary compensation. It was about justice being served and my voice being heard. The court ruling had brought me a sense of relief, but it was the pursuit of justice that gave me a renewed sense of purpose. Armed with the legal victory, I was determined to ensure that James faced the consequences of his actions. As the judgment dictated, James was ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $55,000 for the theft and emotional distress he had caused. It was a substantial sum, but it symbolized more than just financial recompense. It represented the acknowledgement of my pain and the vindication I sought. Days turned into weeks as I patiently awaited the payment. I knew that holding him accountable was crucial not only for myself, but also to send a message that abuse and betrayal would not go unpunished. Finally, a certified letter arrived at my doorstep confirming the payment of the restitution. The envelope felt weighty in my hands, carrying not just the monetary compensation, but also a sense of closure and triumph. With a mix of anticipation and trepidation, I opened the envelope, revealing the check that bore James's name. It was a symbolic victory, a tangible proof that I had won the battle against the person who had hurt me so deeply. A smile tugged at the corners of my lips as I held the check in my hands, my heart filled with a bittersweet satisfaction. I had reclaimed my power and proved that I was not defined by the pain he had inflicted upon me. However, the revenge I sought was not just financial. It was about healing, moving forward, and finding happiness on my own terms. It was about building a life that thrived in the aftermath of heartbreak. In a moment of reflection, I thought about all the things I had learned throughout this journey, the strength I discovered within myself, the unwavering support of my loved ones, and the resilience that grew from the ashes of a broken love story. My phone buzzed with a notification, a message from James. He pleaded for forgiveness, expressing remorse and regret for the pain he had caused. His words were met with silence. I had no interest in rekindling a flame that had burned me so badly. I typed out a response, my words measured and filled with finality. James, your actions have had irreversible consequences. I have found my strength, and I will not be dragged back into the darkness. This chapter is closed, and I wish you the growth and change you so desperately need. With that, I hit send, knowing that I had the power to define my own narrative, free from the toxicity that had once consumed my life.